Morning, folks. It is second here. Shake your camera. Get somebody out that vertigo, son. What's going on? Give me a second to get synced up and we'll get started, okay? Never know. Oh, yeah, I hear whistling. We're 5x5. Good morning, everyone. Congrats to Jess Lowry for being the first one in the house. I actually accidentally slept over a little bit. That's why it was late setting up the stream. So, congrats, man. Let's see who's in the house real quick. Tecmo Dog is in the house. Mama Jules. OFC, what's up, brother? Luce is in the house. Jim, Tasha, good morning. Paul Jones is up in here. Salt and Pepper. Let's see here. I saw a green name. Generators Homesteading Journey and Bug Out Adventures. Good morning. To the moderators also, thank you for being here this morning. Jen, how are you doing, ma'am? Tamara. So quickly, yesterday, I need to apologize because yesterday after the stream, I had to leave, and we didn't get back until around, I guess, 7 or 7:30 last night, yesterday evening. And Google apparently threw tons of commercials into the replay of the stream. I'm sorry for that. Normally, I go in. They're always messing with me. They're always buffering over here, or I can't change the thumbnail art, or the live chat replay won't show up for some reason. Yesterday, they decided to pile commercials in. Normally, I have to go in and make sure there should only be two, one when you start and one during the stream to support the channel. And wow, there were a bunch in there. So I should have checked it before I left, but I was in a hurry, folks. So I apologize for that. Militias are heading to the border, and they will probably buffer us this morning as well. Just a heads up, they're heading to the border. This is according to RT News. The intel is down below. RT News actually did a ride along with one of the militias that's heading to I think the Texas border. And of course, when you click the intel, you get this big thing, this big spiel from Google saying RT News is owned by blah, blah, blah. They're always trying to discredit stuff, right? Who was it? I think Dawn, I think she had posted something on Facebook, and it was an actual screenshot of some intel from her state. And still yet, below that on Facebook, they were trying to dispute it. They were trying to spin it, if you will. And I'm like, this is a primary source. You can't spin, when you're looking at the facts, we don't need a second opinion. We don't need it to be fact checked. You know, people can make their own minds up. But anyway, the numbers on the militia seem to be very hush-hush. And it looks like by design, okay? They didn't go into detail how many militias, again, how many people were in each militia, and I think that was by design, and it's a good strategy. You don't want to tell people, hey, we're coming and we're bringing this many. That's stupid. But they were well equipped. I'll say that much. And during the intel, which is actually a video, Independent Marine, good morning, brother. During the intel, which is actually a video, the militia they were riding along with was making an excellent case, I thought, for why they were doing it. At first, I was like, be careful. They might be baiting a trap. This might be, you know how they tried to nail people on this second Capitol protest and nobody showed up. You know, so be careful if you're headed down that way. They might be trying to bait a trap. But these guys were like, look, it's a full-on invasion, okay? Yesterday we had said it was a trickle effect. And what I meant by that, you folks were exactly right. It's a full-on invasion in the border states. It's a trickle effect for the rest of the United States. So when this migrant caravan gets here, if they bust through, that's immediately going to affect Texas. And, all the citizens in Texas. It's going to take a while for people in Massachusetts, for example. Massachusetts, something like that. Maine, we'll go with Maine. It's going to take a while for that migrant caravan to directly affect them, okay? But yeah, it is a full-on invasion. They were saying, look, our Constitution is being shredded right in front of our eyes, and nobody else seems to do anything about it. They said, You know, we're pro police, we're pro border patrol, we're down here trying to help. We just are going down. We're going to ourselves as a militia, as citizens with the right. We're going down, we're going to patrol the areas where we know for a fact these people hide out from the border patrol. And if we see them, we're going to detain them as citizens, and we're going to get the authorities involved. Now, once you get the authorities involved, there's no telling what the Biden administration is going to do. You know, they're probably going to let them in anyway, you know, in the middle of the night on some Learjet or whatever, and put them up in a Hilton hotel. But the thing is, at least somebody's trying to do something, you know, so I applaud them for it. And then they go on to explain, and this is very true, our country is here because of militias. And the current administration has basically demonized militias and called them, you know, too extreme or too radical, or you guys know, domestic threats, or whatever they're wording it. But we need militias, and we need somebody to do something, because Biden doesn't seem to be lifting a finger. This cat is falling asleep. Did y'all see that? He fell asleep at the global thing that they're having where Greta's at and all this stuff. They caught him falling asleep. The dude has got like a milk mustache where he's been eating ice cream. I mean, he's not going to help the southern states out, the border down south. Abbott is trying to do what he's trying to do. You know, there's a coalition of governors now that have activated the National Guard, but it's, in my opinion, just opinion, folks, totally okay for the militia to go down and help as long as they remain lawful during this process. Night, night, Biden. Scott said, yeah, it was ridiculous, right? Greta was actually dropping the F-bomb when she saw it happen. Apparently he did, and the guy from Great Britain, they were both asleep on and off during this presentation of hers. And that made Greta mad. You angered the Greta. He also took a dump in his britches. LOL, Robert. I don't know, man. I wouldn't know. I'll take your word for it, though. Shorty, good morning, ma'am. But yeah, somebody, Silver Lining says RT stands for, yeah. And with Google, what'll happen is when you post anything from RT, they'll go into this big spill on mean people own this channel, blah, blah, blah. I trust them as much as I do the Clinton News Network or Fox News or, you know, MSNBC. You're telling me those folks are on the level? They're not. You know, it's all propaganda, but at least RT did a ride along with these folks, and they were filming it. You know, it's hard to dispute video evidence of what's going on. Good morning, John. Good morning, Second Amendment. Paul Jones, that is an excellent question. He said, how do you remain lawful in these days when you're being rushed by the thousands? I think that the militias are headed down. Again, I don't know how many. I think they're headed down. Their plan is to remain lawful so they can't be painted in a bad way. But at some point, you're right. At some point, you get pushed over the line and you have to do what a militia is intended to do, right? Protect the Constitution. That's what I would argue they're there for, to protect the Constitution. And they're right. You know, when you're watching it being shredded right in front of you in slow motion, because that's what's been going on, they're just tired of seeing it. You know, constitutional militia, oh, hey, let's strip down the Constitution piece by piece. And then the militia's like, no, wait a minute. We're here to protect the Constitution. So, you know, again, just my opinion. Jen Lynn, good morning. Reckless Reese. Very good. Thank you for bringing that up, Reckless Reese. They voted this morning. There's several big elections. The two that I know of right off are Virginia and New Jersey. There are also some cities, I think New York and Atlanta, and there may be some others that have huge votes. But in the cities, it looks like they're all landslides. For example, New York, they said the Democrat, you know, there's a Democrat and a Republican running for mayor of the city, and they said the Democrat's up almost 40 points in the polls. So it's probably not even going to be close. But New Jersey is fairly close, and in Virginia, according to the polls again, the Republican is actually up by several points. So we'll see. We'll see. I voted this morning. Thank you, Jess. Unless you voted Stacey Abrams. I tell you what, thank y'all for the thumbs up. And if you haven't thumbs up, in the next 20 seconds, I don't have my watch on, but I'll simulate it here, son. Stacey Abrams will be your next president. And I don't make the rules here. Yeah, definitely get out and vote if you have a chance to do it. Because I'll call the Democrats out. They usually have a low turnout for these type of elections. A lot of people are Democrat, but midterms, they don't get their sorry butts out to vote. So conservatives, if you get out and vote, you can, in theory, make some changes today. But again, this is all depending on a free and fair election. So we'll see. Hatch, good morning. I want to answer a couple of prepping questions. Remember, we ended yesterday with some prepping questions, and elections are not reliable. I don't disagree with that, John Doe, but get out and at least try would be my opinion, okay? And then I guess the chips going to fall where they may. Somebody asked yesterday several times, actually, and ma'am, I'm sorry I didn't see it until right at the very end, how to go gray, okay? Excellent question. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pay attention to the area I'm in. So when you go gray, you want to blend in. You don't want to become part of the crowd. You know, maybe the crowd's outside causing chaos. But when you go gray, you want to be able to move through the crowd without drawing attention to yourself, okay? So I'm thinking about clothes. What kind of clothes do they wear? You know, how do people in that area dress? So to give you an example, if I'm in downtown Los Angeles and there's all kinds of chaos out in the streets, okay, I need to dress like the people that are down in the streets. So you want to go ahead and you want to have that, maybe not a Joe Biden t-shirt or something. You kind of want to look low key like the rest of the crowd, again, without drawing attention to yourself. Something that is not mentioned a lot in the prepping community, and I'm going to add this. This is a World War II thing, but this also does make sense. No direct eye contact. So during the Second World War, when Germany was surrendering a little bit at a time, the soldiers and also the civilian workers that had been working with the soldiers and things, the German soldiers would warn them, you know, when they get here, the Russians in particular, because they were not very nice at the end of the war. They said, look, just go out, hands in the air, do not look the Russians in the eye, because it's seen as confrontational, okay? You do not want to stand out in the crowd when you're walking out like this. You just want to look at the ground or look at the person in front of you. And oftentimes what would happen is the Russians were, rightfully so, very angry when they got there, even though the Germans were surrendering. And if you gave direct eye contact, that would bring suspicion your way. And a lot of times they would drag you out of the line and nobody ever saw you again. So no direct eye contact. You want to be in the crowd. You want to look confident. You want to walk with confidence like you're supposed to be there. But you don't want to look at anybody specifically in the crowd. You don't want to have any sort of print on your clothing. Getting into the Biden thing for a second. Yesterday I was wearing a Rural King hat, and I happened to think about this last night. Somebody in the chat said, I've been trying for 20 minutes to figure out what your hat, what your hat says. So if you wear something with markings, people are going to be drawn to it. They're going to try and figure out, what does the shirt say? What does the hat say? You want something plain and dark, okay? Black, maybe navy blue, forest green, whatever, hunter green. And you just want, your prime objective is to get from where you're at, pass through the danger, get to the other side and go. And I would also add, just stay to the perimeter, okay? If you get caught up in the middle, you can't watch your six, especially if there are hundreds or potentially thousands of people outside. You want to stay on the perimeter, okay? Where you have a better grasp of what's actually around you at all given points in times. This is something, it's an anxiety thing, folks. When I go into a mall or something and it's really crowded, pre-COVID, I'm staying near the wall. I'm staying where I can keep everything in front of me, okay? And so I would just add that as well. 911 viewers, Tim. We moving on up, son, like George Jefferson. But moving on up brings Google Eyes in here. Googly Eyes. Charlie B says, I still wear a MAGA hat. I don't care. That's going to draw attention. You know, if there's 500 people outside, 500 Tifa zombies, and you wearing a MAGA hat, that will draw attention. So be ready to defend yourself at that point. You're describing how I dress daily. Prepper trucking, exactly. And no camo. Okay, I'm wearing camo this morning. You don't want any kind of camo when you go out into this crowd, because they're probably not going to be wearing it. Your bug out bag, you want to have a secondary bag that's inconspicuous. Okay, because camo, again, is going to draw attention. It's going to look a little too tactical. Minivans are the ultimate gray mobile. That's a very good tip, Cast Iron. Marie Hempus, how you doing, ma'am? Haven't seen you here in a while. Another fine day in America, Bob says. Isn't it always? So the other question yesterday, and y'all can chime in on this as well. Somebody asked how to pick a boomstick for SHTF, a boomstick. How do you pick the perfect one? So there are plenty of questions to ask here. Are you already accustomed to using a boomstick, or is this going to be your very first one? Would be the first question I ask. The second is, what does your budget look like? Okay. So if you're used to a boomstick and you have a decent budget, it would depend on the situation. Are you bugging out, bunkering in? If I'm bunkering in, I prefer something like a 12 gauge because they are menacing indoors. But it is, again, it's not something I'm going to want to carry around when I'm looking gray, man, and trying to bug out, okay? If you're bugging out, I prefer the handheld variety. Now, if you've never really handled a weapon before, I would prefer, and I'm going to explain why, either a 22 or a 9mm. Somebody brought up an excellent point last week. You know, I said I prefer the 22, and I do, because it can still do damage, okay, but it's a good entry-level gun. But somebody made the point that the recoil is actually worse sometimes on the 22 handheld model than a 9mm because of the weight. 22s often do not weigh a lot, and so they will kick back, in some cases more so than a 9 that's more weighted. So I would go with a 22 or a 9 if I'm bugging out, simply because there's more ammunition out there for those, number one. And number two, they're very common. So if you go to a range or something, probably buffering now, right? If you go to a range or something, a range instructor is going to be able to walk you through, or somebody maybe that you know that knows about boomsticks will be able to walk you through the process of handling one right. You want to be sure that you're safe with it. It's a tool. It's like anything else, okay? If I don't know what I'm doing with the skill saw, I can get hurt. But if I know what I'm doing with the skill saw and I know how to handle one safely, the chances of there being an accident are very, very low. And so you just want to keep that in mind when you're picking a boomstick, okay? And I'm sure people are putting all kinds of stuff in a chat. Anything but a 380. I know, Bill B said, I know we have fans of the 380, okay? And somebody said AR. I wouldn't suggest that if it's a starter gun, but ARs are wonderful. 380s, we have fans, but the ammo's a little harder to find, and for me, they're just too small. They're too small for my hands. I got huge hands, so I'm not a fan of 380s for that reason, and that reason alone. Bugging out is the last resort. Absolutely, Rat Trap. Always the last resort. Because for those that are new, and let's see, and Nana, and for the one that thinks John should lose mods, no, my mods are wonderful. We don't want to lose the mods here at all. The Minted Maiden, see, I like my 380. And that's great, but you're probably used to a 380 and you probably don't have gargoyle hands. So as long as you're used to a 380, that is definitely the best one for you. But again, Shrek over here, son. Yesterday, some of you pointed out that it's not money that is the root of all evil. It is the love of money that is all, the root of all evil. Couldn't agree more. Money is like anything else. It's just an object. Okay, it's what people put into it. Do they want it? What are they willing to do for it? So you folks are exactly right on that. Mario 120 yesterday. What are your thoughts on a Jackery generator? So I have gas generators, but if I was going to go solar, it would be a Jackery or a Blue Eddy. There's probably no other brand I'm going with. One of those two. They are the more expensive brands, but the way I look at solar, if I'm going to make that jump, I'm going to get the best that I can get, okay? So this is my opinion. Folks in the chat, if you have solar generators, feel free to add to the conversation, okay? Matthew Trucking, starter gun, just get a rifle, which is great if you're going to bunker in or if you have land. If you're going to bug out, I don't know about going through a huge crowd and trying to look gray with a rifle in your hand. Get brass knuckles. Tim Osmond. Nothing wrong with brass knuckles, but you're going to want more than that eventually, right? We should be, let's see here, freezer burn. We should be bumper to bumper headed to the border. I don't disagree with it. I do not disagree with it. Okay, thank you. We have over 1,000 in the chat here. Let me fix my hair, make sure it's parted. We're in the big time now this morning. For the folks that just joined, please thumb the video up. Otherwise, you are cursed to a presidency of Stacey Abrams. That is this morning's curse. Somebody yesterday, actually a couple of people said Ready Wise is the gruel of survival food. I ain't disagreeing with that. I said Stacey Abrams, like 20 people jumped out. They're like, nah. Ready Wise, really any survival food is a last resort. If you're eating on your survival food at that point, times are hard anyway. Excuse me. So, Ready Wise, not the greatest, but take a drink of root beer here. There are certainly other brands that are better than Ready Wise, but they're a little more expensive as well. So it does come down to budget in a lot of cases. Jackery is awesome. Thank you, DA, for that. Let's see here. All right, our 3 preps. And of course, the number 3 prep, lobby, y'all tell me what you would use it for. Number 1 is going to be rehydration salts. You should at the very, very least have some of these in your bug out bag. They're dirt cheap and they work. Number 2, zip ties. Same deal. They're pretty cheap. You can get the Dollar Tree variety. I would encourage you to spend $2 or $3 if you can afford it more and upgrade to a much better zip tie, pack of zip ties. Number 3, contractor bags. Many uses. What would you use them for? For me, a contractor bag is going inside of a regular sleeping bag, and it can actually turn it into a makeshift mummy bag, climate bag. Let's see here. Zip ties are great for so much. They really are, Scotty. We've used them camping, but it's normally to hang stuff from branches. I mean, we're not like zip tying people's hands behind their back or anything. It's just normally to hang stuff up off the ground, especially trash bags and things, because when we go camping, the raccoons like to get into the trash a lot. So you have to hang it up. Sometimes they still get into it, but hey, this is how I learned about raccoons. Okay, we've been camping for 20-ish years now, quite a bit. But when we first started camping, I was into powerlifting and stuff, and I don't know why, but I had whey protein with me. I think I was making whey protein shakes at the campsite because I was into it hardcore, son. And I had a 5-gallon thing or a 5-pound thing of whey protein. in the bag and whatever. Long story short, in the middle of the night, the raccoons got into the bags and stuff, and they actually clawed and ripped the lid off and spread that stuff everywhere. And so we started hanging after that. Hang the stuff high. Canned ham and green beans last night. Sounds good, Joseph. We had, a couple of days ago, we had the ham flavored beans, which are really good if you've never had them. And then on top of that, probably not the best for me, but on top of that, we did some country ham. Very salty, but I love it. And you're going to hear some rainfall. I apologize. It is hammering outside. Sounds good on my end, but it may not sound good on the other end there. The poll this morning. This poll, son. I thought this was going to be close. Arkansas Living's like, man, the polls are too easy over here. And I told Arkansas the other morning, I said, I ain't got no shame in my poll game, son. But I tried to pick a hard one on purpose, and it's a landslide. Do you trust cryptocurrency? I thought this was going to be like 50 to 49. No. The live crowd says yes, 13%. And 87% say no, they don't trust cryptocurrency. Things like Bitcoins and stuff. Cryptocurrency is not my first currency when I'm looking at currency, but man, I trust it a little more than that, y'all. Are you kidding me? Of course, it's not going to be worth a whole lot if the grid is down, right? Somebody just said Bitcoin has been very good to them. Let's see. Scotty Drake. Yeah, a lot of people have made a lot of money off Bitcoin, no doubt. I wish I could have picked it up when it was like $1 a coin or something. But now it's so high up there, it's really an investment, if you're getting the entire coin or whatever. I'm not a trusting person, Mama Jules. Well, that's fair enough. You know what I mean? A lot of preppers aren't. But I do. I just bought my first crypto yesterday. Andrea will keep us updated on how that works and stuff. The Minted Maiden says, I trust my bartering and trade skills more. That makes perfect sense. But I do think we're headed for a digital economy at some point, and it's either going to be based around Bitcoin at a point in time, I think at least, I'm no expert, where Bitcoin would be regulated by the government, or the government's going to do away with Bitcoin and they're going to install their own, or they're going to try to get rid of Bitcoin, you know what I'm saying? But we are headed into that direction. What the currency will actually be called, will it be Bitcoin or something else? I don't know, but I do think we're headed for that kind of a world, unfortunately. 300 Warriors. Gold hasn't made any difference lately. People can't afford to buy it right now. It's not going up or down. Silver right now, I think it's still a buyer's market. The spot price is a little bit lower. So it is time. Outlaw Farms, what are your thoughts on Target.com? I'm not a huge fan of Target, period. Be it the .com or otherwise. Blockchain technology, absolutely, Kenneth. That was a great way to sum up 5 minutes of rambling on Bitcoin and digital currency. Blockchain. Patricia Olson, good morning, ma'am. Okay, I gotta tell y'all something. So, comment here. Bamagen, Ripple XRP will be the new blockchain system. So this is how my mind works. I'm loco, son. When I see the word Ripple, my mind immediately goes to Sanford & Son, where he used to drink the Ripple wine. I don't know why. I'm demented in this way. But yeah, I don't know enough about digital currency to be able to point to something and say, this is going to be the future, which is why I'm not investing a lot of money into it, because I would end up losing a lot of money probably. But yeah, old Ripple, he used to walk around. He had that crip strut that I got going on now. The only thing I'm missing is faking the heart attacks and stuff. So here we go. For those that don't know, it's really sad. He actually died by a heart attack while they were filming, and he was trying to tell him his heart was hurting, and everybody was laughing at him. Red Fox. They thought he was joking. And by the time they realized he wasn't joking, he was a dead man. Scenario time. Scenario time. So here's the deal. You're pulling into your favorite store to shop at, because we're not shopping at Target. We're not shopping at Walmart. Okay, right? We've been over this. So you're pulling in. This can be a tool store. This can be Bass Pro Shops. This can be a grocery store. And as you're pulling in, you get the emergency radio broadcast come over. The radio, obviously, right? So this thing comes on and they're telling you something catastrophic is happening. Seek shelter immediately and all this stuff. And at this point, the grid's going to be down long term. At this point, people are going to be panic shopping. But you happen to be at your favorite store pulling in. What are the 5 items that you're going to buy? Right? I'm thinking grocery store here. I'm thinking more beans and rice, because why not? I'm thinking canned fruits and veggies. And probably either canned meat or jerkies would be my 5. Run into the store, yeah. You start pumping your shoes up. You're like, this is going to be bad right here. Tuna salad. Arkansas living, tuna salad. That's first thing comes over is his radio. The Russians are invading. Seek shelter immediately. Nah, I got to go get this tuna salad right quick. Take them a while to find me anyway. Nothing. That's a good answer. Nothing. I'm going home before the streets get packed. Animal feed, very good answer as well. Canned food. Now, you got plenty of canned food, but you don't know how long it's going to last. That's why I went with the beans and rice, more canned food. Beer and butt floss. Good morning. Forrest is in the house. Everybody can relax now. What's up, Forrest? Man of War, I need to mention that. Thank you. Ammo, and ammo. I was at the gun barn at Rural King yesterday, and they had plenty of ammo. It was a little higher than I'm used to it being, but I thought, thank you for bringing it up again, I thought I need to mention this, because now's the perfect time to buy ammo. We don't know how long it's going to be there like that. Liquor, Brent says. Forget the cars, you can get a horse. On the spot like that, were you at the stables when you're pulling up? Canned meat and cases of water, fish moxicillin. Bread, milk, Twinkies, and Freedom Seeds. I have not seen a single fish stick. I was worried about that. So yeah, I'm not drinking coffee this morning, but folks, I'm not drinking beer either. Well, technically I am. It's root beer. Wanted to mention that. Oh, and me being at the gun barn yesterday is unrelated to somebody on here yesterday saying they were having a sale. I had to go check it out. Coffee, wine, fresh veggies, ding dongs, Laura. Oh, Sean, Massachusetts. Yeah. Yeah, for the folks that are new here, I mispronounced several things. Washington. Yeah. Gas and tobacco, very good. Ryan, I didn't even think about gas, to be honest with you. That wasn't one of the first 5 or 6 things that popped in my head, but that's very good. And then tobacco, of course. Coffee beans, so you can just eat them. Pepto-Bismol. Holly, what you been over there eating? Yeah, we could do an entire video on tortilla and how to say it, and tortilla. I don't know. Dusty. John, you don't have an accent. All the Yankees do. I think people that have never been in the South, maybe they don't understand. We all talk like this. We all mispronounce certain things just because we've grown up used to saying certain things certain ways. Arknan, headed out of town on back roads. That's very good. As long as you got all your preps in order at home. Somebody said, buy. I ain't buying it. I'm just going to go take it at this point. Yeah, but we had that discussion yesterday, and most of the people said stealing is stealing. Wrong is wrong, even in Mad Max. Peanut butter, very good one. Been out of shape. Jennifer Cruz, I went to Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and I heard that accent everywhere. It really is everywhere. Like the Dukes of Hazzard here is a reality TV show, and I ain't kidding on that. You don't see too many of the General Lees, but you'll hear the horns even on trucks. They put them on trucks and stuff here. You used to be able to buy those, the Dixie horn, like they used on the TV show. You used to be able to buy that at Advance Auto here. I don't know if they still got it. It's probably, too offensive or something now. Shelf stable anything. Not trying to be picky. And water. Yeah, water needs to be mentioned. Thank you. Powdered Gatorade and peanut butter. Ivan, we've been seeing Gatorade here and Powerade. I haven't seen so much in a very long time, but we can't find the powder now. We don't have the powder anymore. We had it at one point in time, and we bought some up, thankfully. So, the canisters of the stuff, they don't have it anymore, but they do have like the Powerade and the Gatorade, and then the store brands and stuff also. Arkansas Living, still can. I had one on my truck a couple of decades back. How did I not know that? How did I not know that? Yeah, I'm a big nerd when it's a top 5 show for me. And my wife, she doesn't hate it, but I think she just got tired of it. We saw John Schneider, Bo Duke. He sings. We saw him in concert, which was cool. And then we did a meet and greet with Luke, Tom Wopat. He wasn't singing or anything. He was just doing a meet and greet one year in Tennessee. They have the Ben Jones, the guy that played Cooter on Dukes Hazzard. He has a shop down there or something, and we went and saw him. And I have this, still from the 80s, I have this huge General Lee car, like a toy, and they signed the hood and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. Propane cylinders for my grill. Very good, Pastor. That's awesome. Toilet paper. How dare you, Joe? How dare you? So, yeah, folks, what do y'all want to talk about? We still got a crowd in here. I still got some time, if y'all do. Again, you're not required to stay here. I just enjoy talking to people in the mornings. Otherwise, I'm an introvert. I'm walking around, not saying a whole lot, maybe doing some writing later, but the border. I mean, Bobby, it's hard to say a lot about the border because it's such a mess. If somebody is in Texas and Arizona, maybe in the chat, they can tell you more about the border than I can. I just see it on the news. I don't see it firsthand. We have farms here, and we have people that are working here that are actually from Mexico, but in most cases, they're paying taxes. They've done it legally. You'll see them at the banks and everything, cashing their checks out and stuff. And I think they stay for 6 months at a time or something. They come in during the summer and they work because we have tons of produce and stuff here. But as far as being completely overrun like they are in Texas, I mean, I'm just getting mainstream media from all over the place. Kick that name, kicking like chicken. Uh-oh. Hold on here. Kicking like chicken. We need to take over northern Mexico to stop it. Ugh. That's I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's a bad thought. I think that's a bad area to send the military into, because Mexico really doesn't even control that area. A lot of it is gang controlled. Bobby says this is a border invasion, son. I don't disagree with that. It is a border invasion. I think Trump said you either have them or you don't, in terms of borders. And if you don't have them, you don't have a country. Militant Roots, Youngkin. For those that don't know, Youngkin is the Republican running in Virginia. And you need to watch that particular, I've been saying it for days now, watch that election. That election's today. They're saying it's extremely close, but the last poll showed Youngkin up by like 7 or 8 points, I think. So unless something shady goes down, he should actually win in Virginia. And if he were to win, we're going to see if that will maybe continue on down south to North Carolina, etc., and maybe start flipping some states. We'll see. Wolverines. 2 plus 2 equals 4. I love these names. They're so creative. 2 plus 2 equals 4. I'm just messing with you. Trying to stay gray, do you fire up the Jenny? That's a good question, Scott, North Carolina. Depends on where you're at. Where I'm at, yeah, we'd fire up the gas generator. Pretty much everybody on my street has generators. You know, we all know each other. We have gas generators. There's one lady that's on oxygen, so she, you know, her son will show up even in a snowstorm. You know, he's got a jacked up truck, and he'll come and he'll start our generator for her. And he got stuck one year even in the jacked up truck, and it was ridiculous. We had to go push him out of the ditch. But everybody here has a gas generator, at least one. Now, as far as the rest of the prepping, if they're doing it, I don't know about it, and they don't know about mine unless they're watching here on YouTube. Good morning, weekend RVing. I mean, if you're in a suburban neighborhood and not a lot of people have generators at that point, I don't know that I would. In that situation, if I could afford it, I would really be looking at a solar option. Good morning, John Mack. How are you? Gas versus propane. Robert, that's very good. Depends on what you're using it for. Propane right now is very high price, so I'm going to go with the gas. Propane is also very hard to find in this area. You'll go up even to like y'all know those blue Rhino things that are outside of convenience stores and stuff. They've been empty for 2 months in this area. So there's just none there. You can still pay to have propane brought to the house and fill up a large tank, but it costs a ton of money. Arknan, that's a very good point. Even wood heat can bust you out. If you got people trying to find a homestead or a home that has, you know, potentially food and stuff like that, yeah, burning a wood stove can even do it to you. You got to be able to protect what you have, you know. I think MD Creekmore was just talking about this yesterday. He was saying, and it was a very good video if you haven't checked it out, MD was saying he's tired of hearing all the excuses from non-preppers. You know, at this point, if they're not prepping, they're just excuse making. But he was saying one of the excuses he gets is, I don't want to get all this stuff and somebody just come take it. Like preppers will be used as a grocery store or something. And he was saying, be sure you can protect what you have, okay? Which is, Christina Clark, welcome then, first live. That's one of the things. I don't have anything against homesteading per se, but that would be one of my concerns. You know, if I've got 100 acres of land and I'm doing a lot of farming and homesteading and stuff, my first concern is, how am I going to guard the perimeter? How am I going to take care of all that I have without people showing up to take it away from me? You know, because you're going to need a lot of muscle at that point. Arknan, I'm dead center, 100,000 town. I have wood backup. It'll be a last resort. Yeah, at least you're not going to freeze to death. You know what I mean? But have some sort of self-defense for your home, okay? Because it may, you know, if the situation was bad enough, it may bring the wrong kind of crowd to your door. Heather, keep going. I like the longer live streams. I appreciate that. I just like to... We cover a few things in the morning, like the main topic, if you will, or two of the video, and then some of the folks bounce. They ain't got time for it, and I totally get that, you know. But I enjoy being here and talking to people. This is my social life, which now that I think about it, is pretty sad. But hey, I'm having fun with it. I enjoy it. Blue Ryan, weekend RVing. Let's see. Blue Rhino, they don't have full tanks. It is better to take your tank somewhere and have it filled. Okay. Yeah, we haven't seen any of like the full tanks where you can buy the tank and everything outright. Yeah, I guess if you got a bunch of old tanks sitting around, you can, definitely. Milton Roots. We're installing 2 wood stoves in our house this week because heating oil is so expensive. Yeah, electric heat, any kind of heating oil, they said, what was it, 150% as opposed to last year price-wise. So wood really, if you have that set up, wood is the cheapest option. But as we talked about last week or the week before, eventually I think they're going to come for the wood burning. And they're going to say you're killing the earth and all this nonsense. But yeah, I mean, the only knock I have against wood stoves is my daughter has, it's weird, she'll develop it on and off, asthma. So she has to be very careful around that kind of stuff, or there's no way I could use a kerosene heater. You know what I mean? It would just be too bad on her. But if you're not in that situation, then yeah, man, wood stove is the way to go. With wood stoves, though, for those that have never used a wood stove, if you get it going, sometimes in the middle of winter, you have to walk outside because it gets so freaking hot in the house. Over at the bug out, it'll get hot, and we'll just have to go outside for 10 minutes because it feels like you're in the middle of the Arabian desert, son. Fire-resistant gloves, Holly. How do y'all feel about gloves? Because I have a couple of pairs of mechanics gloves. I don't really care for them. I bought them for bugging out, and I actually went back to just I don't even know what brand it is. It's a store brand from Rural King, but they're just the, the leather gloves, the work gloves. I prefer those more than I do the mechanics gloves. The mechanics, they seem to wear out for me, like in between the fingers and thumbs and stuff, and they're more expensive. And then some people are like, I don't need gloves. I'll stack wood for 25 hours a day with no gloves on. I'm a man. Like, you go ahead with that. Yeah, I'm a welder, so thank God for gloves, ink scars. Well, there's probably people in your profession that's like, I'm a real man, I don't need gloves or glasses. And then they're walking around like Ray Charles because they can't see. Leather around the campfire. Okay, that's a good tip, Arkansas. I had not even considered like the campfire and the I don't even know what the mechanics are made out of. They're not full leather, I can tell you that. At least not the kind I have. Lambskin gloves. Well, I need to look into those then, Man of War. Find me some lambskin gloves for like $4.99. I'll be all over that. $4.99. My wife gets so mad. We're out shopping. We can be in any of the stores. And give me just a second on that question. But we'll be out shopping, and I'm just so cheap. Like she'll say, "Do you need socks? Here's a 12-pack for $12." And I'm like, I ain't paying $1 a pair of socks. She gets so mad. Rural King has lambskin gloves. Okay, awesome, thank you. And somebody was just asking about boots. Muck boots. I have one pair of muck boots, and I've had them for several years now. I had to pay a little more for them, but they haven't deteriorated. They're not cracking or anything. I'll hear some people say they get cracks in them. I haven't had that problem, and I've had them out a bunch. And they're camouflage, of course. Let me ask y'all this, though. We were having this debate yesterday, actually. When you have muck boots on, do you wear them on the outside of your pants or the inside? Like when I'm camping, they're on the outside of my pants, obviously, but when I'm wearing them out in the civilized world, I usually put them up underneath my pants legs. And my wife said this is wrong. Don't do that. It looks ridiculous. Outside. Okay, Sarah, going to agree with my wife like that. Inside. Thank you, other Sarah. Muck boots out. Always out. So yeah, it looks like my wife's right on that. I don't know. I thought it just looked a little fancy wearing it out. Out. Everybody saying no. Let's see here. Sawmill Man says inside. Well, we need to get our story straight on this. This might be a good poll question here. Boots out, inside, outside, out. Arknan, out, same as Uggs. Uggs, aren't those like yuppie boots? Pants in. Pants over the boot. Make it a poll. I will do that. I'm going to make it tomorrow morning's poll. Mud in, snow out. So there are rules, Jess, like Monopoly, when it comes to muck boots. Out, son, out. Oh my gosh. Inside. Eden's Garden says inside. Out and furry. No, Dusty, I ain't got any of the fur inside of them. They're just the rubber ones that you pull up, man. You got two little handles, little finger grips on the side. That's it. One in and one out. And the crip walk, right, Tony? That'd be funny. I'll do that one day. One in, one out, and I'm just like strutting around. Oh, man. Pants in, you goobers. Laces out. Oh, boy, this has just went down the hill real quick. I figured there was a universal answer. And honestly, I figured I was wrong. But no, there are a lot of people that's got my back in here on the inside. Pants in keeps your jeans dry. Yeah, when we camp and stuff, I do that. But I'm talking about, you know, when we go somewhere fancy like, what's that song, Fancy Like Applebee's? Go somewhere like that, and I got my, yeah, I've worn muck boots to Applebee's, folks. I have, but I usually pull my pants down over them. Uggs for the soy boys, the wizard. I do have, Arknan, I've got a pair of cowboy boots. Ariats, brown. I need to bring him up here sometime on camera. I've got a pair of black ones too. One of them's Ariat, the other one I don't know. I'll bring them both tomorrow if I can remember. Have a little show and tell. And some muck boots, by God. I'll bring all my shoes out here. Are they meant to protect your pants, Leah? Yes. In theory, they're meant to protect your pants. And to stop your feet from getting wet. But if I have to worry about that at a restaurant, I probably ain't eating there, you know. You don't wear mucks anywhere fancy. Oh, Man of War. Sounding like my wife up in here. Aren't Ariats waterproof? Well, the black pair that I have are scratched up. Because we were putting up a shed. It's been 2 or 3 years now. Over at the bug out. I was helping them put up a shed and they got scratched up. But I can't remember if those are the Ariats. There's another brand. It's not as expensive as Ariat that I have also. I don't remember which is which. And then, oh my God, what is it? My wife prefers, she likes the Ariats too, but they have a certain name to them. They're like short and then they got the rounded front on them. I don't remember what they're called, but that's a whole nother conversation. Do you want pointed boots up front or rounded? We'll get into that tomorrow. Because I actually got to go here in a minute. And I know that conversation's coming. Duck boots. No, Beth, muck boots. M-U-C-K. Yes, Fat Man Prepper. Happy wife, happy life. There's a reason I've been married for 20 years. Leah, yeah, John, I think they weren't meant to wear out to dinner. It's that or Under Armour flip-flops. Leah, I'm just messing with you. But I do have those. Square on the end to kick butt. Arknan. Yeah, I'm going to go with that because I know where this conversation is headed. We'll get into that conversation tomorrow. I know we got fans of the pointed tip and also the rounded off tip. Fat baby. Thank you, Ann in Texas. I could not remember what they were called. They're fat babies. Yeah. 20 years. Yeah, Jen, I'm old. Fat baby Ariats. There you go. And my daughter even has a pair of them. But she likes all the different The colors, I don't know how to explain it on hers. They're fancy. The women got the fancy boots. I don't have any snakeskin boots, Dusty. I don't know. Beaver skin boots, maybe? I'm going to go with that. I love y'all. I'll see y'all in the morning. Peace out.